it's Olivia, and welcome back to Live in Literature. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support I've received on these last few videos. I've so appreciated it. It has been so much fun making these videos for you guys, and I can't wait to keep making more. I just wanted to let you guys know that we reached 50 subscribers here on the Live in Literature channel. So exciting. I am so grateful for all of you, for those of you who watch, for those of you who like, and for those of you who comment, and all of you people who have subscribed so far to my channel. I am so grateful for all of you, and thank you so much for all of your love and support. Okay guys, today is another video celebrating
Maas month. Woohoo, Maas month.
And this video is going to be the most epic video ever.
Now, this is epic.
I am talking about the biggest Sarah J. Maas book ranking of all time.
And then there's those of you at home who have never read Sarah J. Maas and you're thinking to yourselves, I literally do not care. But I care, and it's really important to me. So as you know, it's Maas month and I'm celebrating all things Sarah J. Maas, and today's video is all about ranking every single one of her books. And there will be a couple of exclusions to every single one of her books, but I'll come back to that. We'll be ranking all of Sarah J. Maas's books from the Crescent City, the Throne of Glass, and the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And I'm going to be ranking them from my least favorite to favorite and what I think is the best out of all three of those series thus far. Now, once again, obviously I can't rate A Court of Silver Flames because it's not out yet. And I'm also making a special exclusion to Sarah J. Maas's prequel, The Assassin's Blade in the Throne of Glass series, and to her book, A Court of Frost and Starlight in the ACOTAR series. I'm not going to include those three books, obviously, because Silver Flames isn't out. And those two, that's a prequel, and the other one's kind of like...
The other one's kind of like a fan fiction that like somebody basically just like wrote because they were like wanted to see what happened to their favorite characters in the end. It's
like more of a cute story. It doesn't really like go with the depth of like what's going on in the story. So I'm not including those ones for that reason. So I'm going to be ranking every single one of her books and giving you my rank from bottom to top. And I'll be showing you like reasons why I liked them, reasons why I think it deserves this rank, and reasons why I think that like it should go in this order. And so this video will include spoilers, and I would say that I would include a spoiler-free section, but it's going to be very difficult because of the context of each book. So if you have not read any of the Sarah J. Maas series, do not watch this video. It's not going to be one for you to watch if you don't want to be spoiled. But if you already read her books and just are curious about my ranking, this is going to be a video for you. So let's get started.
This right here is all of her books. And I kind of want to do like I look like Gus from like Cinderella, where he's like carrying the corn. He's like, ooh.
But I'm like, this is not the order that I have selected. This is just the order that I've set them up in for you to view. Because once again, as you know, my books are like crooked and they don't all match up, and it's very upsetting. And I know how upsetting it is. I know that a lot of you right now are getting PCD, OCD,
We're sorry. The number you reached has been disconnected.
Here they are. They're so cute. And let's get this ranking thing started. Quick side comment before we start this video. I just want everyone to look at how freaking adorable this sweatshirt is. It's the best sweatshirt that any person's ever owned.
Yes, you're probably thinking, Olivia, you wore Winnie the Pooh merch in your last video.
Yes, I'm gonna keep doing that. Sorry if you don't like it. It's the best sweatshirt ever, and I'm gonna be buried in it. Thank you.
Oh, bother.
This rating is going to be done 1 through 11 because there are 11 books that I'm rating today. And so I'll be starting with number 11. My number 11 and least favorite book in all of Sarah J. Maas history is Throne of Glass.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Olivia, this is the book that started it all.
like this is the book that started everything, and I'm like, I know.
But the thing is, you just have to think, like, every single one of her books just gets better from here. So, like, I love this book, don't get me wrong. Throne of Glass is an
incredible book.
It is amazing. So, like, the writing is really good, but, like, it's pretty, like, it's fairly good, but it's fairly, like, it feels like kind of like a really generic YA book. This first one, I wasn't, like, super impressed with the writing. And I felt like the characters just needed more time to be developed. And obviously, they develop over the course of, like, 7-8 books. And so I felt like in this first one, like, When I remember reading this one for the first time, it took me so long to get into this book because it's such a slow start.
That's true, Rabbit. It lags a bit in the middle.
But then it picks up at the end, like the last 100 pages, you're like, whoa, 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 like we're just going, and it's crazy. But the first part of this book took me so long to get into, and I'll be honest, in the beginning, I did not like her character. Selena Sardonthian, which is our main girl, our protagonist, I did not like her character. I did not like her. I thought that she was vain and rude. And by the end of the book, I was obsessed with her, and I was like,
Yeah, queen, like, we love a girl who loves herself. Like, I mean, yeah, like, aren't we all a little bit vain in the end? I kind of like that.
If I look in that mirror, you know what I see? I see a strong, confident, beautiful young lady. Oh, look, you're here too.
but because this book, the writing is a lot weaker, the story hasn't developed yet, and I wasn't like such a big fan of like how long it took me to get into it and like how long it took me to like get things started. Therefore, that is the reason it is ranked number 11 in my ranking system. So thank you, Throne of Glass. I love you. Next one I'm going to be ranking at number 10 is Tower of Dawn, which is book number 6 in the Throne of Glass series.
And if you've read Tower of Dawn, you know why it's ranked so low. That's funny.
Oh, sorry. This book just makes me laugh because I remember after I finished the 5th one.
And then they came out with this, and I was utterly furious.
Because if you know the Throne of Glass series, you know that the entire time we're following Selena/Aelin's story throughout the entire book series. And then we have this one book that's in the perspective of Kale.
Who, spoiler alert, is
It's my least favorite character in all of Throne of Glass history.
I don't know what my issues is with him. I think it's what happened in Crown of Midnight that makes me so furious at him and how he acted in the 4th book. But I despise him.
Don't be rude. Are you kidding me?
And just kidding, I don't despise him anymore. Like, he learned, he grew, and that's what I love about this book is like he learned and he like learned from his mistakes and he grew into a better person, and he found Irene, who's like lovely, like she's just so lovely and we love her, and she's a healer, and like she's honestly the thing that like saved this book for me. It was like their like love story. And that's why it's not ranked at the very bottom, is because I found this one more compelling and more interesting to read than Throne of Glass.
But
I will never get over the initial heartbreak of finding out that I had to read this one before I could read the last book in the Throne of Glass series.
and just being utterly furious because of the end of the 5th one. And if you've read the 5th book, you know why I'm upset.
And so that is why this book, Tower of Dawn, is ranked number 10 in my ranking system for all of the Sarah J. Maas books. Okay, now we have number 9, and we're getting into something a little bit different, but we have number 9 in the Sarah J. Maas ranking, A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is the first book in the ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses series.
now. I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, Olivia, this is the book that started off for ACOTAR. I'm like,
Yes, I know. This is the thing though. Every single time she starts a series, it starts like kind of on a weaker note, and then it just builds and it gets so much better by like the third or whatever book it is, you know? It just gets, every single one of her books just like gets better. And that is how I felt about this one. I think that this one is superior to Throne of Glass and Tower of Dawn with because of its new story. It's so compelling. But it's pretty low on the rank because I still, once again, similar to Throne of Glass, it took me so long to get into it. Like, I remember for the first, like, I don't even know, like 200, 300 pages, I was just like, blah, 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 like Pharaoh, like whatever. But once again, the last 100 pages, it was like a race to the end. I was gasping, choking. I was just like, oh,
Lipstick and my Valentino white.
I'm like, this all happened so fast. I wasn't expecting it. And so much happens, and we meet so many new characters at the end of the last 100 pages, and so much stuff goes down. So much heartbreaking stuff. Like, oh my gosh, I could just, like, if I could just talk. Last 100 pages of this book were like a run for my money. And therefore, because it's slow start, and because I liked it more than the Tower of Dawn and Throne of Glass, this ranks number 9 on my ranking list. Next one on the list, number 8, is Crown of Midnight from the Throne of Glass series. This is book 2 in the Throne of Glass series. And I had a really hard time ranking this one because I have a lot of issues with it. I love it, don't get me wrong, because this book is like the one that like, the cogs start turning, things start shifting. You're like, something is going on here and you don't know what it is, but you're very curious to find out. I think that it is a really strong book. I think this is where she started to get more like skilled in her writing. I thought her writing developed a lot more in this one. I thought that her characters had a lot of great personality. I was here for certain relationships that I won't mention, but you know what I'm talking about.
At the time, I was like, yes, yes, this is everything, yes. And then heartbreak and disaster strike, and then I pissed off everyone because everyone's angry at each other, and I hate it.
But the thing that saves this one for me and puts it up higher than A Court of Thorns and Roses is because of the plot twist at the very end. But to me, the cliffhanger and the twist at the very end when you just were not expecting it to go that way totally changed my perspective of the book. And that is why this one ranks number 8 on my ranking list. Number 7 on my ranking list goes to Heir of Fire from the Throne of Glass series, and this is book number 3. Now, I know what you're thinking. Many people who have read the Throne of Glass series would be like,
Olivia, why did you rate Heir of Fire so low?
And personally for me, I wouldn't consider this a low rating compared to all the other books that I have left to talk about. But I will say Heir of Fire was the catalyst for the Throne of Glass series. This was the one that basically the tides turned in this book. We lost all innocence in this book. We freaking gave our souls to this book.
And your immortal soul.
This one is where everything kind of like took a turn for the worse and we were just not expecting it, and it was epic. I lived for this one.
But
I will say, because of the inclusion of the witches, you know what I'm talking about, the witches chapters. Like there's chapters where they talk about the new witch, Man in Blackbeak witch, which like we love her. She's a queen of the witches. We love her. She's great. But I remember when I was reading this, I was very uninspired and uninterested in her chapters for a really long time. I was just like, why are we talking about these stupid witches? They don't have anything to do with the story. I'm like, can we just go back to Selena and Rowan fighting in the forest? I will, once again, another plus about this one, we get the introduction of Rowan Whitethorn, who is my literal husband. I'm obsessed with him. Rowan Whitethorn, I love you.
I'm a psycho.
Like, just find me a man who is literally like 6'4", white blonde hair, a tattoo side of his face, just the most gorgeous man in the entire world. I'm obsessed with him. We meet him in this book, and he is the biggest jerk of all time. But then you find out that he's just the biggest old softie, and we love him.
And I'm obsessed with him, and so we meet him in this book. And that is why this one's ranked above Crown of Midnight and a couple of the others, because we get the introduction of Rowan Whitethorn. It's the catalyst for the Throne of Glass series where the tides turn. But I also found it slightly boring with some of the chapters that weren't about the people that I was really caring for and rooting for, and that's why it ranks number 7 on my list. The next book that I'm going to talk about that ranks number 6 on my ranking list is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, and this is the 3rd book and basically the conclusion of her ACOTAR series. Now, many of you are thinking like, Olivia, why did you rank this one above Heir of Fire? And I think it's because I have to give it to the fact that this was the concluding novel in the ACOTAR series. Like, we were just building up to so much with this book that I think it deserves a higher ranking than others. Like, I think that Wings and Ruin had so much ground to cover and so many things to do. Like, we had so many amazing moments in this book. We had so many amazing moments. We had the High Lords meeting. We had fighting Bryaxis in the library. We had the epic battle at the very end of the book. Like, so much stuff happened in this book. Like, I was obsessed with everything that happened in this book. But there were a couple of loose ends at the very end of this book that did not get tied. And I know that Sarah J. Maas was probably just waiting to tie those ends because she just wanted to wait for her release of A Court of Silver Flames or a couple of her other books for those little loose ends to get fulfilled. But when I read the conclusion, the finale of a book series, I want it to tie up all the ends. I want to feel fulfilled in my ending.
Then why do I feel so melancholy?
Ending, don't get me wrong, the ending was very beautiful, amazing, tragic, gorgeous. I loved every second of it. Oh my gosh. But I felt like it just didn't quite tie everything together. And that's why it ranks number 6 on my rank. Right, now we're headed into dangerous territory. This is the time where I start talking about, this is basically like, I love Sarah J. Maas and I love all of her books, but this is like, we're getting into the ones that are like the real deal.
TV, love that.
The reasons why people like cannot like even handle her, the reasons why people lose their minds when they hear her name. I would say these 5 books are the reason that she is like the author that she is today, and then why people love her so much.
Oh, wait.
These next 5 books are like the reason I think that she's the most famous and the reason why they're ranked so high on my list. And if you don't agree with that, that's fine, but like,
these are the best ones, and don't try to argue with me on that, okay?
I wanna start a fight. So
All right, so number 5 on my rank goes to the 4th book in the Sarah J. Maas series, Queen of Shadows. This book rocked my world. Oh my gosh. I can't, like, this one
was so good. Oh my gosh. I had the hardest time ranking, like these last 5 books, I had the hardest time ranking them, which was my favorite and which one wasn't. But I love this book. I love Queen of Shadows. I'm obsessed with it.
We get all of our favorite characters. We get a couple of new characters. We get to like combine all of our favorite things together all into one book, and we finally get to understand like what the heck is basically going on. And it's amazing. I'm obsessed with this one. It's so many beautiful moments. I can't even talk.
Best moment though, like I'll just like bring it up.
Is when Aelin sees Rowan for the first time, like after a couple of months when he was in Wendolyn, and they like hug each other, and it was just like, it's just the best moment ever. Oh, I'm obsessed with it. It's the best moment ever. It's like literally amazing. This book, oh, I'm obsessed with it. It's amazing. I'm sorry, I know I'm not really giving you very many descriptors, but it's amazing and I love it. And that's why it ranks number 5 on my rank. Okay, now ranking this one was really hard for me because it was so hard for me to rank this one because I love this book so much. But it's just, I'll be honest, my ranking of my favorite books just changes like every single day. It really does. Like every single day I'm like, no, I think I like this one more. No, I think I like this one more. Like it changes every day. And so number 4 on my rank goes to Kingdom of Ash, which is the last book in the Throne of Glass series. And Kingdom of Ash was the concluding book in the Throne of Glass series. And my gosh, was it a conclusion. Oh my gosh, the amount of heartbreak that I experienced in this book. Like there are pages that are like tear stained from where I cried on them because of how much this book made me cry. I was in tears the entire time, basically. This book is jaw-dropping, heartbreaking, bone-shattering. It is truly like one of the best finales of a book series that I have ever read.
Awesome. Wow.
And that's why it ranks number 4 on my book ranking list. Okay guys, we're getting into the big leagues now. Okay. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this ranking, but like, please don't hate me. Number 3 in my Sarah J. Maas ranking list goes to A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Now, I know what you're thinking. All of you big ACOTAR fans out there, and those of you who discovered ACOTAR over Book Talk.
I'm sorry. This one ranks number 3 for me. It does. You probably are all thinking this book is number 1. It deserves to be number 1.
And I'll be honest, this book rocks. Like this book like blows minds.
This book makes me reconsider every decision I've ever made in my entire life. It makes me want to go be a fae and go live in the forest and have some man come and like kidnap me and take me back to his High Lord's court.
I consider it at least like 7 times a day. This book has so much emotional depth in it. I am obsessed with the emotional depth in this book. This book talks about so many like personal and very like harsh and deep and struggles that people go through. It talks about abuse. It talks about depression. It talks about anxiety. It talks about like fear. Like I feel like this book is so beautiful with the way that it was crafted. And I'll be honest, this is one of the best romances that I've ever read because of the way that these two people come together.
Marion, my darling, I love you more than life itself.
Like their relationship, it's Feyre and
spoiler alert, if you're still watching this is a huge spoiler alert.
Rhysand